Free-to-play games, trends in mobile game industry to watch out in 2017. The discussion will be moderated by Patrycja Rodzińska.
Thank you very much for introduction. It's a pleasure and honor to be here during the 5th edition of Digital Dragons. For the 4th time, honored as strategic partner, and for the 3rd time, I have a pleasure to conduct discussion panel about free-to-play games. Today, I have a pleasure to host 5 industry experts. I would introduce to you Andreas Balfanz from BlueByte Ubisoft, connected with game industry since 16 years. He was working for such company like Ubisoft, Gameforge, Travian, RTL International. Tobias Edl, plus 10 years experience in gaming industry, connected with such companies like King.com and Playa Games and Innogames at the moment. Michał Kuhne, founder of German-based company Freigeist, working with such companies like Travian, Bytrolab, and previously Bigpoint. And Yuri Mikhailov, here it is. Yuri is working for Bigpoint. And there is a secret from Yuri life that he was an MTV star in Russia.
Thank you.
And Maciej Mróz, CEO of GameDesire, Krakow-based company, successful Polish company, which is focusing on mobile and online free-to-play social casino games. Here he is. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, as we know, the global games market is going to reach over 113 billion US dollars by 2018 from 81 billion US dollars in 2014. A large share of this growth will be driven by rising population of gamers in Eastern Europe, in Latin America, Middle East and Africa, Asia, and the revenue they grow, especially through online and mobile games. Today we will discuss a couple of key points regarding mobile game industry. Couple of key points like trends, mobile game, virtual reality apps. Is it a stable trend or financial bubble? Are all roads lead to China? Is it worth to focus on someone else than whales that generate most of the revenues? And who will be dead from the game producers in next 2 years? I will start from a couple of questions. I will start from the question, from your perspective, gentlemen, which region have the highest potential for mobile game developers in the next 3 years, in your opinion? Yuri, I will start from you.
Cool.
Hello everyone. Actually, we've had a talk about it before, and of course, the largest growth is observed in Asian regions so far, mostly China. But it's too complex and too long for a single question. So, in my opinion, Asia.
Asia, and from Central Europe, from Eastern Europe.
From Eastern Europe, Poland is showing amazing growth, actually,
yes.
And it's quite, you can quite easily see it because of these exhibition, because of the conventions, because of the lots of the independent developers emerging. So Poland, Hungary also going there, but I wouldn't say it's as fast moving as Poland. So yeah, I think Poland.
Okay, thank you.
So I would agree with Yuri that Asia is definitely in the market to look at, not necessarily China actually. China is hard to get into for Western developer without a good partner. But if you think about Asia, it's like a lot of smaller markets, and smaller doesn't mean smaller. There is India, Pakistan, which are huge countries. So Asia definitely. In Europe, I'd say Russia. is interesting. But again, it's up to every developer to decide where the product is good actually and who it caters to.
And Tobias, what is your opinion?
Actually, also, if you first look on your own company, as we with Innogames will still focus on North America and Europe, and especially Russia as one of our target markets. And on the other hand, it's definitely something where your game fits to. So, and for sure the market's growing worldwide, but all over you have to think about what kind of product you have and which markets they fit to.
Yeah, for me, it's I can only speak for as being a representative of an agency. I can only speak for our clients, who are which markets are they looking out for, and what I see is that basically, as Toby said, there's a lot of companies looking out for taking place in the North American market, but also in South America. This is where there's millions of or where, let's say, where mobile population is starting to grow quite a lot. And besides that, I truly believe in the growth of Asia. That's for sure. But not necessarily only China and Japan, which are already big enough, but rather looking into Southeast Asia. So there's countries like India, Vietnam, or Malaysia, which are still behind technology-wise in their development. So basically, it's going to be a question of where the smartphone market is actually going to grow, and for the smartphones, there will be, of course, a higher demand for mobile entertainment. This is where I think will definitely be the larger growth.
Andreas, and from your BlueByte and Ubisoft experience?
Yes, as BlueByte is part of Ubisoft, our strategy is that our brands are available everywhere on the world, and with mobile stores from Apple, and we are available everywhere. So from our perspective, the most interesting markets are definitely Asia. We have recently released as BlueByte our first Assassin's Creed mobile game version. And just to give you an idea about the market share worldwide is that Assassin's Creed, China and Japan are number 2 and number 3 of the relevant countries after the US. For Europe, definitely Russia and Poland are the most interesting markets, and I just can add that what the other guys already said, that South America is of interest, but we also need to put an eye on Africa, how it will evolve, because in nowadays with the digital world, frontiers are not that important anymore. When you once are in the App Store, in the Google Store, in the Play Store, then you are available everywhere, and you can test, you can see if there are some regions where your game is more appreciated than in others, and then you can define the further marketing actions for these markets.
It's good you mentioned Africa, as Africa is consuming media through mobile, so in Africa mobile is really the king. My next question, you were mentioning Asia, and my question is, do all the roads lead to China, and what are your experiences from China as developer and publisher?
Should I say? Yeah. Definitely our road as Innogames will not guide us first to China, as we are focusing on Europe, and also our products have a really good match to the European and North American market. And also the barriers that you have to fulfill if you want to enter the market are quite high. So for example, if you want to enter and all the legal papers are only in Chinese available, and only this things where you when you start and think about it, so I want to go there, what's the easy steps, which looking globally, everything is available in English, that definitely do not match to China. So you definitely need support by a local company. You need someone who guide you to the whole stuff, even to fill the basics, and then you need a product that's matched to the market. And then you have also the other challenges like App Store management, because the Play Store is not available. I think it's for the regular Google Play Store, it's 1.5% of reach. All the other ones are local stores from China that you have to manage, and several other steps that you need to take to go there.
Can you enter China without big Chinese partner?
The thing is that you definitely need, regarding the government, need a Chinese partner, and that's an easier way. But even what you have to deliver as a company, it's really not easy to go there.
Maybe.
Okay, Ubisoft definitely has development resources in China. We have a big studio in Shanghai with more than 1,000 people working there. We also have not we because I'm from BlueByte, but Ubisoft has also big mobile resources there, and the Chinese market is definitely really relevant. I've already mentioned the Assassin's Creed figures before. This was for iOS only, because the game so far is only available for iOS and will be released for Android soon. Yeah, I just can say it's important somehow.
Okay, thank you. My next question is what mobile game revenue, 40% of the market by 2018, 40% of market by 2018. In your opinion, is it a stable trend or financial bubble waiting to burst in next 5-6 years?
Well, I think that it's absolutely not a bubble. So people get more and more smartphones all over the world, actually. So this is where the growth is coming from. It will plateau at some point, but in terms of what we can do with mobile devices, we are at the very beginning still. So I wouldn't try to project it beyond 2018. But it could very well continue to grow at similar rate. I wouldn't be that surprised if it even continued to 2020.
Yuri?
Well, yes, I also think that as long as the smartphone market is growing, there will be growing revenues because of the fact that people will keep on playing. They've been even playing before having smartphones to play games on. They've been playing games before, having consoles and so on. So it's just a matter. It's just people's need to be entertained, to get entertained, and to socially interact. So it'll be rather a question of what type of games will be the revenue driver, and we certainly can't answer the question whether it will be casual gaming that will survive, or whether it will be virtual reality coming into place. But as long as there will be growing tablet and smartphone markets, there will be a stable trend in growing consumption of games, mobile games.
Andreas?
I also agree with the other two guys. I think there's still potential for growth on a worldwide level, and we need to take into consideration that mobile brought us the biggest growth ever we had in gaming, and brought us a new consumers, which themselves sometimes don't, some say they don't are gamers. I'm not a gamer, I play Candy Crush. So that's quite funny, and I think it will also have influence for further gaming concepts in the future, because we have now a target group which is not familiar with traditional gaming principles, like people in our age who are used to play games for more than 20 years. They know how gaming is working, and people who are only used to use their mobile and are familiar with the touchscreen functionality, that's completely different. And I think that will offer a lot of potential in the future, because these new users, they will have new demands on gaming in general, and that will have a big influence on the upcoming gaming concepts.
So we agree that it's not financial bubble, it's a stable trend regarding the revenue growth. And how about the growth of producer revenue? Is the mobile game industry too crowded already?
Well, as probably most of you know, the market is kind of saturated at the moment, and it is really hard to enter it with a product if you don't have strong finance and promo support from some big holding behind you, for example. So, and of course, the ones which already have resources, like Hello Supercell and King, for example, they will continue to grow. That's obviously because they have resources. So, but the thing is, in the end, we are working in the game industry. So even if you don't have these amazing marketing budgets King or Supercell have, you still have a game, and this is the most important thing, right? So if your game is good, then you have a potential, even in a saturated market like we have now.
But I also think that on the road there, several companies will die. So, and it will be not an easy challenge. So, yeah.
So you predict that in 2-3 years, several companies, well-known companies, will die because the market is too saturated?
Yeah, the market will grow, and also then, but the single ones, maybe the share will rise because of the bigger reach. But maybe then the single revenue will be smaller, and there will definitely 1 or 2 or 3 or 5. Even I think the bigger ones, one of them will die.
What is the solution to survive for game producers? What is the idea?
Make good games.
And so how about the business model? At the moment, it's important to notice that in the case of mobile games, only 3% of gamers spend money in the game. So 3% of gamers are spending money, and the rest, 97, do not. What is the idea? Should we expect some change of the business model?
As Innogames, I can say no. We definitely focus on every user, even of the non-spenders, because for us it's quite important that the game itself is active and the game is alive with a lot of users. And at the end, the non-payers support the payers, and this is the main target. So we definitely do not acquire users from sources where we see also they are the highest conversion, but we also need a user database that the game is alive, and this is something that helps us to give a good game to the market.
I understand. Andreas?
Yeah, we are a big fan of free-to-play business model, but we also launched, I've mentioned that before several times, Assassin's Creed, which is not free-to-play. It is a premium app which costs €5. And we think you can do that with really AAA brands. That's already something I already said. That's our strategy to establish worldwide brands, because that is also a guarantee for that you will be successful in the future, because consumers like follow-up of games and because they trust them. But anyway, I think as the market is so overcrowded, I could imagine that there will be some movement in the future and that there might come up other business models. Remember 15 years ago, nobody would have imagined that you will give away your content for free. There was a big discussion at that time, and now for us it's normal. You know, we know that we can make money with this business model, but everybody tries it, and there are so many players on the market. As Tobias said, there definitely will some die. And who knows, maybe we'll have something like Spotify for gaming in the future. I could imagine it could be an option for especially smaller indies who don't have the financial power to market their game on their own. Who knows? So maybe in 5 years we are talking about something completely different. Who knows?
mobile game industry is a big business, great money, and I wonder if this industry is already closed for small independent developers. Is it industry for big companies with great knowledge, support, budget?
I think that it's definitely not closed. As Yuri said, you have to make good games that people will find entertaining and fun. Yes, it's going to be tougher. It's a hit-driven industry, so it's hard to stand out. But if you do, you will be successful. It's just going to be a bit harder. I don't think that the market is closed by big players like Supercell or King. Trying to be the next Supercell is probably not the best idea, but I believe that many smaller developers will find their niche, will create good products that will be making money, but will be profitable for those developers. Just the expectations need to be realistic, and they really need to do good games. That's like point one before going into any other considerations.
In my opinion, it's also very important on what idea is behind the game. So basically, the game setup, the story it tells. So sometimes, you can be, as an indie developer, you can be very successful if you are producing a very, very simple game. I mean, we've been seeing it with apps like Flappy Birds or whatever, who are virally growing, who are done very simply and actually don't have any kind of business model behind it. So in the first step, I truly believe in indie developers who are figuring out a certain niche. Sometimes it's better to cover a niche with a certain gameplay. So it's not about bringing out or putting in just another puzzle game in the App Store. It's do something crazy, whatever. And then the second thought is always, okay, can I attach a certain business model to it? Some might be thinking about advertising, purely advertising, which I truly believe as a good add-on. But it's certainly not closed, but it's just about having good ideas and different, be creative. That's the point.
Yeah, that's something which I just wanted to add. It's an advantage if you're a big company and have a lot of marketing euros in your hands. But anyway, I think the most important thing is that you stay innovative, so that you have good ideas. Because if you look back the last 20 years in gaming, what happened? So there were big companies who disappeared. Like Dreamcast, for example, just to give an example, and they had good ideas at that time, but anyway, they were not successful at the end of the day, and there came up new players on the market who are now bigger, much bigger, like, for example, Ubisoft. Ubisoft is an established company. For us, we are celebrating our 30th anniversary this year, and there are much younger companies who came up later with some more creative ideas than we had, and they are bigger now. So that I think that could happen to everyone. And money is one thing, but being innovative, don't forget what we are for, that entertainment is our main mission. And okay, we want to make money, but entertainment definitely is our main mission. And so, we always need to keep that in mind.
Regarding being innovative, mobile game apps for virtual reality, in your opinion, is it just hot trend, or is it hot trend and future revenue stream for mobile?
Well, at this moment, the technology itself and the hardware is unrefined, I would say. It's too early to make some. I mean, yeah, it's big. It's everywhere. Like everyone is going VR right now. It's like, what was that? Where in Poland? You told me, I think.
Verismo.
Right?
Verismo company, Krakow-based.
How much?
How many companies? 30.
Yeah, 30 companies like making VR just in here. So, but the thing is, personally, it's my only opinion. VR is, and we've been discussing it with colleagues. VR is killing social part. So you can't. You're sitting in a room and with this huge helmet on your head, and you can't communicate with your friends. You can't properly talk with them and so on. You just don't see them. Mm-hmm. So in my opinion, AR is much more perspective than VR, because it allows you to play with your friends directly, shoot them in the head with a stick, whatever, like you're 6 years old back. But we will see. I mean, it's really important that there are pioneers which develop the VR, and these are the first. I would say it's like kind of childish steps now, but they will definitely grow into something big and fabulous. And well, my colleague recently got Oculus Rift, then he bought himself a new NVIDIA card, and he said, wow, well, I'm done. Like, I'm playing Elite Dangerous all day. So for someone, it's a really cool geek toy, but it's not a mass phenomenon, and it's not a mass market right now.
I completely agree. So if I think from my personal point of view, I'm sitting at home and want to watch a movie with my family and, for example, sharing popcorn. So imagine a family got the VR helmets on and wants to share some popcorn, so which is impossible. And I think that's the reason why it's at the end a niche. So it's a fantastic technology and it's a nice entertainment, but I think at the end it's something like the same with the 3D glasses. That was a big hype like 3 years ago, that everyone who bought a TV got some glasses for 3D. And I'm 100% sure that maybe some of you got them, tried them once, and then put them somewhere, and then it was done. And now all the TV producers stopped to implement 3D glasses to the TV and the technology. And I'm a bit scared that maybe the same thing will happen to VR.
Well, my opinion, right now, it's a geek toy. Early adopters are going to be really core gamers, and probably a lot of people in the game development industry. And just yesterday I heard that there are 5 million registered Unity developers, so I assume that many of them will be the early adopters of VR. So in the next 2 years probably, there is going to be some small adoption of VR, but those people are not going to be the mass market. It's a niche. What's going to happen after that? That's going to be interesting, because Facebook made pretty big bet on Oculus, and the long play is about social. So as Yuri said, it could be AR, not VR. It could be some different experiences. I wouldn't expect it to boom overnight, but 3 to 5 years from now, it's going to be interesting.
Also to add one important thing, actually, I'm quite sure that VR will be really big in actually the spheres where it could be practically used. For example, medicine. You can't look into the human body, right? But with VR you can. You can disassemble human without slicing him into pieces. Or you can disassemble the combustion engine with your hands, just like a virtual model. So it could have really amazing immersive practical use, but not really entertainment, my opinion.
So at the moment, hot trends, not serious revenue stream for mobile industry. Okay. I have another question. Last year, Activision paid almost $5.9 billion for King Digital. Imagine that Activision paid more than the Walt Disney Company paid for Lucasfilm. And my question is, what is your idea, and what did Activision buy, in fact, for almost $6 billion?
Actually, if you think about King, when they bought it, you have to go with a wider horizon. Do not think only about a studio who create games. Think about how many users they acquire, and also that if you want to start Candy Crush, you have to log in with your Facebook account. So I think they bought a huge amount of user data, and now they have a quite good match with the core users from the other side. So, and they have right now a huge user base with a lot of information from the back. Every user completely allow at the registration that the king get the whole Facebook profile, and on the other hand, they got also some nice 3D match games.
Yeah, so basically I think, it's definitely about the user data they've been acquiring by paying so much money. On the other hand, it's rather buying in a piece of the cake of the market that has been changing, especially for Activision Blizzard as being a core gaming company, seeing market shares decrease while other market shares, like the mobile gaming, are increasing a lot. So basically, it's a matter of compensating these losses, and certainly it's a big amount of money that is being talked about, but only by buying a market share away from the market, you kind of secure your further on growth of the company.
During our breakfast, when we were discussing the points, one of you told me that it would be 45 years for Activision to earn the $6 billion. So in fact, they bought something more. They bought big data, user intelligence, something else. It's not about the game. It's about data, yes?
Yes.
Okay, and imagine you have €1 million in your hands. You can also imagine this. Please let me know, would you invest in PC browser game or totally and only mobile game?
As Innogames, I can say we will go mobile first, but the problem is 1 million is not enough for us.
Well, I would answer it depends, because investors have a lot of different considerations than the amount of they are investing. But looking at it just from what's growing and assuming that I'm able to take the risk, I would invest in mobile very carefully and knowing that I could fail, but still it would be mobile.
Well, I would personally invest in booze and traveling around, but actually, yeah, it's been said right that 1 million is really not enough to build a big game, but it's enough to gather a small enthusiastic team, which will work for a small fee probably, and to try to develop something which will then become bigger, because actually you can start with a small team and later on just not necessarily for a full time, but just invite like off-side freelance producers, freelance monetized experts, so you can start small and then grow big.
Yeah, for us, the answer is a bit ambivalent because BlueByte is within the Ubisoft structure as a PC expert. So I would have to say, okay, I would go for a browser PC game there, but as said before, 1 million is not enough, so definitely not enough. But on the other hand, I think Ubisoft would also do the investment in mobile gaming, but same thing, 1 million will not be enough money to make a successful game.
€1 million. It's 4 million zloty.
But by the way, if you have been at Casual Connect this year, there was this guy from European Union Commission. They invest and he was talking about their investment in youth and arts, and they are investing 10 million euros in development for entire European Union. So if there are independent developers, you can take a chance. And actually, the single grant is limited to 150,000 euros. So.
Well, if 1 million was enough, then I'd be going for the PC version still and have the mobile as an add-on, as I do believe in the fact that the user experience that you can actually generate for the users. Playing on bigger screens, it's much better and much more engaging. Therefore, makes you spend much more hour in front of the PC, in front of the game, and giving you more possibilities to actually start spending money in it. And while at the same time it would be important for me to have a mobile add-on to actually enable users to keep on playing my game while being away from the computer. So it's a matter of retention, of how I actually am able to leverage the user retention level by using mobile for the online version of the game.
Yeah, this is very interesting thought, because the question is why not both? What we do as a company is generally cross-platform, so web users, browser users can play with mobile users. I'm not saying it's always going to be like that, but it definitely provides value. So as game developers, we should go where our users go. Sometimes it's mobile, sometimes it's web. So as I said, it depends. But it could be both also.
Are types of games chosen by mobile gamers changing? There are more and more mid-core titles like Game of War, like Mobile Strike. Is the mobile gamer changing from casual rather to mid-core? So more Mobile Strike type games, less Candy Crush?
Well, I would say it strictly depends on the region. So if you, for example, would look onto Russia, you would see that like in top crossing of Google Play, for example, you can find games like World of Tanks Blitz, which is extremely hardcore game for a mobile audience. So, but it doesn't mean that there are no people playing like, Candy Crush and so on. But it is just Russia historically the hardcore region. Like people like playing Dota, Counter-Strike. You know the jokes about it. So I don't think that the overall amount of mid-core games, of course, will be raising, but at the same time, there will be casual and puzzle games, of course, and there will be more and more of them.
I think the thing is a gamer profile. I've said that before, that with mobile, a lot of new gaming people came to gaming. And these people are looking for new content, and they don't have the background like adult gamers have, who are gaming for several years already. And I personally think these guys will look for new content, and they might start with something more casual. And when they get into gaming and are fixed on that and say, okay, gaming is something for me, I didn't know before, but I want to evolve here, I want to major, and I think this brings along that there will be more mid-core games then, because there are more challenging than casual games in general.
Yeah, I also think it depends on the market. Even if you look on the App Store rankings, in some markets it's really driven by burst campaigns. So you do not have the true user picture. So if some gaming companies push so much money in that the App Store ranking lift up for several weeks, then you have a completely wrong picture that you see all this supercells up there. And if they stop the spending, then you got then at the end the normal picture. So it's, from the feeling, we see a lot of them in Western Europe, but I think it depends also a lot on the marketing money they're spending.
Okay, by 2017 there will be more than 2 billion gamers, and the growth of number of gamers population will be driven by mobile and online games. 600 million more gamers in 4 years. I would like to ask you, in your opinion, who will be the mobile gamer, if you can describe for us the idea of mobile gamer by 2017, this new group of 600 million gamers.
Well, it's like trying to characterize people. It's just really so vast majority, so vast number of people that it's hard to characterize them. There's going to be whatever group you imagine within those gamers. There will be a segment like that. There will be a niche. So. Are we going more towards core gaming or more towards puzzle games? I have no idea. And trying to predict what will be the hot topic in games 2 or 3 years from now? No. I'm not a wizard, you know. It's like trying to predict the future, and it's an entertainment industry. It changes very quickly. I think playing games in general is in our nature. We played before there were computers or internet, and if they disappeared overnight, we would still continue to play, probably outside, but still we would play. So whatever's fun, people will do it.
I think also it depends on the hardware at the end. So we will have markets where there's some kind of cheaper hardware, with less performance, and we will have some kind of high-end markets like Korea, Western Europe, where all these smartphones will have amazing graphics in the next 3 years. And I think also this is something, if you develop a game, that you have definitely to look on. So what kind of game you produce and what kind of target group you then reach.
Yeah, what I would add is that we also have to take into consideration that gamers will become older. That's a phenomenon which we already see with our browser online games. For example, if you talk about Settlers Online, which is browser, not mobile, but the average gamer is already 38 years old, which is quite unusual. And I think the same will happen with mobile as well. So we need to take into consideration that there will be silver gamers coming up playing mobile games, and that might be also a niche for upcoming game concepts.
Okay, thank you. You mentioned a couple of minutes before it about focusing on best monetizing gamers called whales. It's this 3% of gamers, but I wonder how to convert non-paying user, non-spenders into whales, or maybe there is no reason to push non-spenders into the dolphins or whales because they have some value, non-paying users.
Well, I think it's pretty obvious they have value. It's been mentioned already, but anyone working in free-to-play industry isn't trying to achieve 100% conversion because it's going back. 100% conversion is where you go to shop and buy a game. And I personally found it many times that I bought a game that's worth 50 euro. Well, that's the opinion of the publisher, but I played for 2 hours and it's definitely not worth it. It's actually worthless from my perspective. And I found the games that were worth that money. But looking at the problem of what users are worth, it's about like not only about paying users. Those non-paying users are like natural part of free-to-play model. It's some users are, say, revenue opportunity, and other are marketing opportunity. You could see it like that. You could see them as building the community. You could see them as marketing force behind your game that actually spreads it via word of mouth. So, and there's a lot of other options to monetize it. We don't really, I think, fully understand even inside the industry what the value of the user is, especially if you take into account the social graph that connects the users and the interactions they have, because they might be non-payers, but they might influence others into paying or generate value in some other way. It's, I think, interesting topic just even for research, and I think that there is going to be more and more research on that.
I do believe you remember this conference of Steve Ballmer when he was walking around repeating developers, developers, developers. So I would say this is the same thing for the retention. Retention is the key, actually. I mean, if the person likes your game and if he comes back to it after like 7 days, 30 days and whatever, at some point there's a quite high probability that he will pay. Out of the gratitude to developer or because he just needs something like games or like chess or whatever, but there is a chance that he will convert by himself if he likes the game and he likes the monetization of the game, right? And also, yeah, as been told, even non-paying users have a really high value because they add the social element, which is extremely important for competitive games, right? If you don't have players in the game, then basically you just can't create a proper matchmaking and so on. So they are also vital. So I think the question is not to try to, monetize whales or non-paying users as a main goal, but to concentrate on on the quality content updates and retention.
I think also it's quite important to make a very good user experience for the non-gamers. So if they start to love your game, to play it more, and really to be addicted to it, and get engaged with the community, and all these updates, and if they are 100% in, and on some point then you, like I mentioned before, if you have this user base that support the whole game, this is one of the main keys. So if you do not, it's important that you do not focus on the payers at all.
There's one more thing I'd like to add. So basically we're talking about how important it is to actually convert non-payers into. So it's, from my opinion, it's not necessarily a big question because first we heard, okay, non-payers can be very supportive to the paying community because it's, the social interaction. You need this crowd of people to actually keep a certain gameplay alive. On the other hand, it doesn't necessarily mean that you are not able to monetize them at all. So basically offering incentives to consume video ads or whatever will still give you the possibility of generating revenue out of a non-paying user base.
I think that a game is successful in the long run, therefore it is important that the player has the impression that the monetization model is fair. So they don't want to be somehow cheated. Some, especially Asian games, are supposed to be very aggressive in the monetization at the very beginning. So that might be a business model, but I think it's not so successful in the long run. So to have a more moderate, less aggressive monetization at the beginning could be more interesting for companies. So at least it's our experience. We have, for example, in our games, people who are playing the game for 5 years. So we have really long-term players, and that's we have a lot of them. And to make some rails, okay, it's not the first goal we have. For sure, to find somebody who's spending a lot of money is interesting for us because we are not a social company. We have to be honest here, but we also, I think we have social responsibilities. We also discussed this morning. I think our interest could not be that we drive people into taking loans or something to play games. So I think that should not be our interest because we also have social responsibilities, especially if companies reach a certain size. It's important that you also show social activities, etc. So it is not in line with our overall image to really focus on producing thousands of rails per month.
Well, one more thing I would like to add to this topic is maybe we should stop using the term whales because some might find it insulting. These are our best customers, actually, the people who are happy with the game and, maybe heavy paying users, yes.
Let's call them VIPs. So.
Yeah, let's call them VIPs, but maybe using the term whale is actually a bad idea.
It's a good idea. I will change the slides. It's not game over yet. I have a question regarding Polish market. Very often Polish market is connected with quantity of gamers, not quality of paying gamers. We are still in this issue of paying in the terms of free-to-play mobile games. What is your opinion? Is it true statement that Polish people are rather gamers of quantity, not quality?
Well, obviously the spending potential of Polish players is a bit lower than, say, in US, but at the same time it's a large country and people are really playing games here and really engaged in them, maybe playing a bit different games for historical reasons. So, for example, the penetration of PCs is higher here. But other than that, they are just gamers. Obviously, it's easier for us, being local company, to reach Polish players and to be on the Polish market. But it's a great market to be in.
And what is the biggest advantage of Polish market for mobile game developers?
Well, I wouldn't say it's like any intrinsic advantage in being in Poland. It's just market that's too big to ignore. If you look at how big it's in terms of mobile, okay, I won't get it from the top of my head, but it's definitely in the top 20, right? So it's for us being here in Poland, in Central Europe, having game on Polish markets is no-brainer. But it's not the only market. Right now the games business is global. You don't do the game for just one market, at least not very often. So for us it's the question of localization. It's easier for us because we develop Polish version along others. But right now for the games we are soft launching, we generally start around 6-8 languages at the soft launch.
You know, speaking about not speaking about the mobile gamers, but personally, I have got to know the Polish gaming market as being very similar to the German market, especially when it comes to online gaming. So what I figured is that basically the payment behavior has been very similar to the behavior of German payers or German gamers. The only difference, of course, is always the amount of spendings that people are willing to spend within the games. But I think in the matter of mobile games, it's rather a question of infrastructure and how people get used to using credit cards or wallet systems, whatever. And I think this is something that is still new to the market. So basically, building up a certain trust into a Google Play account or whatever, which makes it fairly easy for you to pay, but which gives you, which bears a high potential of losing track on your spendings, whatever. So it's a matter of trust, so as this will be changing, or there will be a more further learning by the users, and if this is being reached, I guess it goes quite fast, I believe. Then we'll be seeing similar results as we are seeing in the German market or other Western European countries.
Yeah, I agree with a lot of points Michael pointed out. I think what is really important to be successful in Poland is that you're offering localized content. At least that's our experience. We have experience as BlueByte with a lot of browser games which are all localized into Polish, and we have experience with mobile games which are not localized into Polish. And you see a clear difference that non-localized content is not that accepted in Poland because, I don't know how many people in Poland speak English or are gaming in English. I don't have this information, but for us it's really obvious and evident that you need to offer localized content if you want to enter the Polish market.
Also, what I like to add that what we can see that the Polish community at our games is really, really strong. They are really engaged with the game, and they are quite active in comparison to other European countries. So and this also changed over the years. So when I look back 10 years or something, Poland was not that strong. they played game and let it go. But now they are more addicted to their games they're playing and really active.
I have another, it will be the last question. Please indicate 3 trends in mobile game industry for the following 3 years. Only 3 trends.
Okay, I would say that free-to-play is going to get bigger. That's the trend that I would bet on, definitely. Well, the other trend that's pretty obvious is that the industry itself is going to grow. But what I see also, well, maybe not as a trend, but as a challenge, is that as we know more about how to operate free-to-play games, the companies that do them will need to be, say, more versatile and have a different kind of skill sets on board. So just looking at our company, how we evolve, we see a lot of functions that are not strictly in development and more around running experiments, creating all kind of optimizations on the App Store and so on. So it's getting more complicated. And to cope with that, there will be definitely a big challenge to bring in the know-how to the companies. It's not about writing code anymore, and it's going to be less and less about writing code. It's going to be more and more about creating great services for players. So that's what I see. Also, the trend that I see, and I think it's going to continue, is the rising cost of user acquisition, and that is something that we as developers will need to address by simply making games that are more sticky and keep the users for a very long time. What I believe in making free-to-play games is really around building communities, and we have players that have been with us. We're on our online business, but they've been with us for 5 years, 10 years, and they still continue to come to our games. So if you have a game like that, you will not be afraid of rising user acquisition costs, but they will probably rise.
Well, for free-to-play, extremely data-driven monetization and marketing, and I hope gamification of everything, of services, of of processes. You go to work, you get points. I want to believe,
And also the way how you get some users will change. So at the moment, already changed. So the years before we had portal partners, TV corporations, and now we have more organic traffic that we bring in directly to the app stores. And I also think maybe there will be a change from the single sources, how we bring the users in. Because there's even one problem regarding the tracking. So we have a lot of organic traffic, and that we creating some solutions and go the right way.
Yes, I do believe that one of the major challenges will be how to overcome the higher user acquisition costs. So therefore, there will be people need to be creative in order to find new ways of acquiring more users organically with one user they have paid for. So this can be one of the questions and one of the trends. On the other hand, I think there's going to be maybe some development in the direction of making cheap games for all the emerging markets. Looking at India, whatever, where all the hardware, the smartphones, for example, are not too sophisticated to host applications, with 3D graphics, whatever, because of the processors and so on. I do believe that there will be, kind of an industry which is just focusing on very cheap games, which are replaceable really easily, of course. But this will be one of the turning points as well. Also looking into HTML5 maybe, where people are just consuming mobile gaming in their mobile internet browser instead of downloading an application. This can also be something.
I'm personally convinced that the high acquisition costs, which we all are fighting with, will lead us to new business models in the future. That's something which which I think is the only solution as a way out of it, because nobody, even the big ones, can afford to market the games appropriately. I also think that the market will become more adult. We mentioned that several times. We are just at the very beginning of mobile gaming. We are getting more and more powerful devices now. So this enables us to bring new gaming consoles on mobile, and I think there will be a lot of stuff be seen in the future.
Thank you. Thank you very much. These are all my questions. Thank you once again, Yuri, Mikhailov, Bigpoint, Maciej, Mróz, GameDesire, Tobias Edl, Innogames, Michael Kuhne, Freigeist, and Andreas, Balfanz, BlueByte, Ubisoft. Once again, thank you. If you have more questions, if we have time. Thank you once again.